Greetings again. This is Mr. Jesus Lopez. This recording is done September 21st, the year 2006, at approximately 12:27 in the afternoon Central Time. And today's subject is going to be what is the meaning of life? We've been through a lot. One of the things is that every day we see things come up, issues come up, and things happen that we want to know about and we believe may require some of our attention, and we want to see if it somehow relates to what we're doing, to what our position in life is. Basically, just to do a quick review here, excuse me, of what the news has, and we'll see here on the what I believe to be the main page of Yahoo. Their main lead story is head-to-head battle over head-to-head battle. How will Grey's Anatomy fare now that it's pitted against CSI? Okay, granted, some of us watch television, but in the large scheme of things, does that really have anything to do with what we're all dealing with and what we're having to do? The other news that has itemized, it says Iraq torture may be worse, and I read that story, and that has to do with the insurgents and the tribal fighting that is resulting in killings and beatings and dismemberment to what you have. The other news story is, again, the leader of Iran. Iran doesn't need nuclear weapons, and it goes on to say House tackles border security bills. Mississippi mayor pleads not guilty to charges. Aborigines win Australian land claim. Former Enron CEO Skilling reportedly arrested. Now, leaving Yahoo and going just to the main page of MSNBC news. Their leading story is porn case against car hit snag, and then they have a story from the CDC that says most America needs AIDS test. Everybody reported on the shuttle land safely in Florida, and then of course we have the Senate that this week is considering the defense along the border between the United States of America and Mexico. Over at NPR, what I would consider their lead story is Mexico's drug wars leave rising death toll. And just from reading the paragraph intro to that, it's going to talk about the violence associated with the drug lords trying to control the market in Mexico. And you have one that says Clinton on detainees, Iraq. Apparently the president knows what to do, has an idea, and this is what brings me to the reason. Well, every day to me, every day is a different issue to meditate. And I think we should take time to sit alone and think about one issue in life. Many times we spend a lot of time thinking about many issues in life, but today the thing that just came to my head is what is the meaning of life? And we saw, at least those of us who were paying attention, we saw a road to a reality that many of us don't want to believe exists. It began with the discussion of what was going to be done with what are now prisoners of war, terrorists who are being held by the United States of America on American soil and on foreign soil. Just a quick recap. The president said that a Geneva Convention rule needed to be further clarified, and that led to a revolt by certain Republicans, one of which was McCain. And then from that we went to the United Nations meetings that are being held in New York this week, and we heard the comments of the president, and then after that we heard the comments of the president of Iran, and then of course of the leader of Venezuela. and many of us were struck at the response of the leaders that were in the audience when Hugo Chavez, the president of Venezuela, or the leader, the dictator, whatever he is, spoke. The United States of America has great history as far as helping people. No one can say that this country, the people of this country, have not given to the people of the world. And today, and all of it to me, it comes to a very simple point. Who are we, and why are we here? To me, it's not a difficult question to answer, and I know for many people, it's an answer that just doesn't come. No matter how many times they ask themselves, who am I and what am I doing, the answer doesn't come. And everybody has an opinion. Everybody from evolutionists to creationists has an opinion about life. What I have come to understand is we were created by God, and we were created for a very specific reason. It's one of those things. If somehow a toaster could question you, the builder who made the toaster, and of course you didn't make the toaster, but if you could question humanity and say, who am I and why am I here? Well, you would tell very simple, who you are is a toaster and your function is to toast bread. Well, God would tell us the same thing. You are a human being and your function is to take from your environment what is healthy and what can contribute to your fulfillment and your joy and your happiness and your excitement and your pleasure and your intimacy and to be a parent and to be a spouse and many of us we lost sight of that. And I can understand for some odd reason. I mean, I'm like everybody else. You listen to the news, you think about what's going on in the news, you read a news story, you talk to friends, you're in the discussion, and you want to know what's going on. I do believe we're in a crisis state. The human condition is in a crisis state, I would say. I would have to say that depression, major depression, even abusive behaviors, addictive behaviors, pain and suffering are a major part of the human experience right now, and I would say that's across the board. I have the opportunity to see how life functions in America, and also have an opportunity to see how life functions in Mexico. And a lot of the concerns of people in Mexico are the concerns of people in the United States about who am I and what am I doing, and does it have any meaning? Is it any of it worth it? And you come to the understanding that there has to be a reason why so many people can't grasp the simple concept of that we're human and our function is to enjoy life, to take from our environment what will allow us to enjoy life and not harm us. So you have to put limits. There's a philosophy in life that says whatever, if it makes you feel good, do it. There's a lot of things that make us feel good but are going to harm us. If you sit down and eat 3 large chocolate cakes, you're going to harm yourself. You will have felt good while you were eating them, but the reality is that you're going to harm your organism. So, part of our function is to be happy. And many people will say, well, no, the real function of life is duty, work, parenting, being a spouse, having a position in society. Yes, granted, we are to perform functions, we are to labor, we are to toil, we are to work, and some of that stuff is not appealing and is not very pleasurable, but nonetheless it has to be done. But that isn't the total human experience. And I believe that many of the people who are confused at this point in time in their life are confused because life has become about these news stories. Life has become about Thailand unruffled by change of government, and our home life isn't our home life. We're not enjoying meals in our homes. We're not reading books, enjoying reading books in our homes. Even television that is maligned, and there's a lot of garbage. Even there's more garbage now than there's ever been garbage on regular television and on what is called pay for service television, like cable. And you always have to be very careful with your comments, because if you mention anybody directly, trust me, you're going to receive emails and letters from people's lawyers, not to mention their names in a negative or a possibly derogatory tone. But we all see what's out there. I know people enjoy it. Those programs are on there and people are looking at them, otherwise they wouldn't be there. But if you look at them in the substance, which I don't, there's very few television programs that I look at. But to me, they lack in substance. They lack in real depth of the human experience, and it's all really narcissistic entertainment. Bring out the pretty little girls in very little clothing, and talk a lot of risque talk, a lot of double meaning jokes, that could be taken anyway. Sexual innuendos, big. And that's not life, But the core of the argument, I would say, make sure that I focus and that I put my finger on what it is I'm talking about. So I'm talking about the meaning of life, and how that meaning of life is to take from our environment what can give us satisfaction, pleasure, joy, happiness, and within limits. People don't want to hear that God created them. People don't want to hear that God wrote a book, a manual of life, on how you can live a fulfilling, pleasurable, happy, enjoying, joyful life. Life you can enjoy. I don't know why they don't want to hear that. But why would you want to spend time in your apartment or your living room in your home, completely in pain and suffering, sad, depressed, when the answer can take you away from that? Why would you say, no, I'm not going to listen to that, and run the risk of not of not understanding? See, and you will hear me say this a lot. If you honestly want to make the choice to not pay attention to God, that's your choice. That's your objective. I do not believe that God is going to, char you in hot fire. I do not believe that God is going to destroy you if you say that you want to live your life the way you're living it, absent of God. People get the impression that if you don't sign on to God's way of doing things, that God's going to become your enemy and He's going to torture you and make your life impossible. That's not true. God wants the best for you. He cares about you. He loves you. He wants a personal relationship with you. And if anybody knows how to manage the challenges and the demands of life, it would have to be God, because God created life. See? And why we pursue careers, why we pursue education, why we pursue some idea, some generic, superficial idea of romance and love, I have no understanding of. But you could stop right now and make a list of everything you have and recognize that there's a lot of reasons to be grateful and to be happy. Now, you can sit there and regret what you don't have, which isn't going to accomplish anything, or you can become appreciative of what you have. The home that you have, the meals that you have, the friends that you have, the family that you have, even the spouse that you just don't seem to get along with, is still there. And if you grow up and he or she grows up, you might start enjoying your relationship. See? But we're confused because we want to be confused. I study human behavior, and that's one thing that I can honestly say. We're confused because we want to be confused. We live in a society of information. We've all seen the stories in the television, in the newspapers, in the radios, in the magazines. We've all had conversations with people. Some of us have even taken college courses. Some of us have college degrees. We have an abundance of information, In fact, one of the things that I mean, if you sit there and think about it, okay, you have the Ellen DeGeneres show, you have the Oprah Winfrey show, you have the Dr. Phil show. Now you have some guy named Greg on just on regular television. If you look at the early morning news show, which I don't, the CBS, ABC, NBC early morning shows, even they're talking about issues. So if you have this wealth of information, if you pick up a Sunday paper, if you pick up a Tuesday paper, they're going to be talking about, their news stories are going to be about life, health, education, jobs, careers, marriage, divorce. So we're living in a society of information, and if you're not informed, you're choosing not to be informed. See? But the problem is, are they dealing with the real issue? How I got in touch with the Christian community, I don't know. One day I will sit down and think about it. But that's information. But I've seen a lot of people in the Christian community who even themselves are not speaking on the real issues. The only person that I can see that I continue to say would be helpful for people, whether they're believers or not believers, is Charles Dobson, Focus on the Family. If you could get to his website and see when his radio programs are on for information. He's dealing with the family. He's dealing with parenting. He's dealing with universities, careers. He's dealing with the person. When you ask questions about life, you have to deal with your person, and you have to deal with what type of person you are, and you have to deal with what philosophies that you understand. What is it that you believe life is? And and I tell young people this. The young people, to me, the way I see it, they've grown up in a culture where they were left in a candy store all alone by themselves, with nobody to guide them, or to put limits on, or to help them understand that life has its own standards, its own policies, its own rules and regulations, and if you violate those rules and regulations, you're going to suffer. And we are confused. I would have to say, not only are we confused, but when we know of a good philosophy and we try to put in behaviors, actions, take actions to accomplish that, we find ourselves still unable to get to where we want to get to. Many people have trouble meeting people, or dating, falling in love, maintaining a relationship, which is part of life, which is part of joy. Socialization, interpersonal relationships are a very big part of life. Friendships, relationships with your family members, and of course a very significant, intimate, personal relationship with one person. A monogamous relationship, a relationship of fidelity. But we live in a society where many people are alone, and they want someone, but they don't know how to get them. And if somehow they do get them, they don't know how to keep them. And to close this argument, I said, stay on the point. The reality is that that's life. Life is who we are, how God made us. And He made us to be happy, and He made us to take from our environment, to take apples and oranges and bananas and peaches and carrots and friendships and relationships with family and relationships with friends, relationship with intimate partners. See, and you do have to have a fulfilled life, and it is a challenging life to work and pay for your groceries and your rent and your utilities and your car payment and your car insurance, and on top of that have time to date or to be involved in a relationship, and not to have the necessary information on how you deal with the intricacies, the gives and takes of relationships, because relationships are work. It is a hard life. It's a hard time to try to have a normal basic life where the bills are getting paid, and you have a romantic partner, and you're able to visit your family, and you're able to spend time with your friends, and you're able to go camping, and you're able to go bicycling. It is a difficult time, but it's not impossible. But I do think that we need to stop and look at life for what it is. The majority of the pain and suffering is dreaming about things that really aren't going to bring joy and happiness to anyone. Careers are not. Nothing wrong with a career. Nothing wrong with making money. That money's not going to keep you warm at night. That money's not going to keep you sane. That money's not going to help you enjoy life. That money's not going to tell you a joke. See? That money's not going to sit down with you and keep you company during a meal, or go out into the mountains and go camping. I mean, you need interpersonal relationships. But you also need to be focused on what life is about. And if you think life is something uh, other than working and fulfilling your purpose, the purpose that God gave you, the function that God gave you, how God made you, you're going to continue missing out. And it's going to continue to hurt. Until you recognize that life is about a job and about work and about saving money and about paying for a home, buying groceries, finding a way to go from work, transportation, dealing with your transportation issues, and on top of that, having friends and visiting your family and formulating a personal, a significant romantic relationship. You know, people don't think about marriage anymore. I will close this argument just saying that even though we know the words, that's another conversation. We really don't appreciate the words. And where we all could say, well, I can see the benefits of having a spouse. I can see the benefits of organizing my home life and making sure that everything gets paid and that I'm working enough. We really do lack an appreciation of these concepts. And we're trying to get it quick. But it takes time to work at it, but you have to have a goal. You have to have something you're shooting for, something you're working towards. And through all this madness of politics and dictators and horrible leaders that just want to harm and kill and dismember, through all of that, we have to maintain our focus, and we have to make sure we don't lose our perspective. And recognize that we were created for a purpose, for a function. And that is to have friends, that is to have family, that is to get pleasure from reading books, that is to get pleasure from music, that is to be involved in our community, to help people out, you know. But and if we continue, see, that's a choice. If we continue to do what we're doing and we're not getting to where we want to get to, then something has to be wrong. I always say, if your philosophy is great, then your life is great. See? So if you're not faring very well, if you're not getting to where you want to get to, and you're hurting because you're not getting to where you're getting to, then you have to start questioning the philosophy that you're living under. Again, thank you for listening, and I wish you well.